Class 9, Chapter 13, Statistics, Module 2. Objectives. In this module, you will learn about graphical representation of data. Students, last class we have studied how to represent the data into its tabular form. Now, in this section, we will study about the graphical representation of the data. Now, to understand the data into its easier, we represent it into its graphical way. In this section, there are two types of graphical representation. First one is bar graph. Second one is histogram of uniform width. Now listen carefully, students. One frequency polygon is also given in your textbook, but it is a deleted portion. And also histogram having varying width also. It is also a deleted portion. Now listen about the bar graph. Bar graph is a pictorial representation of data in which usually bars of uniform width are drawn with a equal spacing between them on one axis, say the x-axis, depicting the variable. The values of the variable are shown on the other axis, say the y-axis, and the heights of the bars depend on the values of the variable. So you know about bar graph. 8th class you have studied about it. Now listen carefully the first question. In a particular section of class 9, 40 students were asked about the months of their birth, and the following graph was prepared for the data so obtained. So the bar graph is given here. Okay. Now observe the bar graph given above and answer the following questions. So you need to answer the questions only. Okay, so bar graph is given. Then you answer the questions for that. How many students were born in the month of November? So when we check this graph, bar graph, how many students were born in the month of November? So what is in the November? Then how many students are born? When we check it in the y-axis, it is given as what? 4. Okay. So total number of students born in the month of November is what? 4. Second question, what? In which month were the maximum number of students born? So in which month are the maximum number of students born? Yes, it is clear. Which one is the month? Yes, August. Clear. Now listen, the 4 students are born in the month of November, and the maximum number of students were born in the month of which one? August. Clear. Now the second one. A family with a monthly income of rupees 20,000 had planned the following expenditures per month under various heads. So the heads are grocery expenditure in 1000 is given 4, rent 5, that is 5,000, education 5,000, medicine 2,000, fuel 2,000, entertainment 1,000, and miscellaneous what? 1,000. We need to draw the bar graph for the data above. Okay, so you need to draw the bar graph. So listen carefully the bar graph. The items or the heads are given and the corresponding expenditure also. So we can represent the heads in the which axis? X-axis, and why we can represent the expenditure in the y-axis. So listen, we represent the heads on the horizontal or the x-axis since the width of the bar is not important here. But for clarity, we take equal width for all bars and maintain equal gaps between them. Let one head be represented by 1 unit. We represent the expenditure on the vertical axis. So heads on the horizontal axis, which is what? X-axis, and what? Expenditure on the y-axis or vertical axis. Since the maximum expenditure is rupees 5,000, we can choose the scale as 1 unit is equal to rupees 1,000. Okay, now listen carefully the bar graph. So heads on the horizontal axis and expenditure on the vertical axis. Okay, now the items or the heads are, which are they? Grocery, rent, education, medicine, fuel, entertainment, and miscellaneous. Now expenditure in thousand is given, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 to 7 is given here. So here which one is the maximum? 5000 is there. Okay, now we need to represent the bar graph in this model. So it having equal width, we can consider, no need of taking equal width. For clarity, we can take in that way. Clear? Now the second graphical representation is what? Histogram. So graphical representation of frequency distribution for continuous class intervals can be represented using histograms. This is a form of representation like bar graph, but it is used for continuous class interval. So difference is what? Same as in the case of a bar graph, but for continuous class intervals we are using what? Histograms. Now the question is done. Consider the frequency distribution table of representing the weights of 36 students of a class. So 30.5 to 35.5 number of students, or the frequency 9. 35.5 to 40.5 frequency 6, etc. up to 55.5 to 60.5 frequency is equal to 2. Let us represent the data given above graphically as follows. So listen carefully, some conditions. We represent the weights of the horizontal axis on a suitable scale. We can choose the scale as 1 centimeter is equal to 5 kilogram. Okay, so 30.5 to 35.5. So what is that? Class interval is starting from here 30.5, like lower limit, and 35.5 is upper limit. So what is the class size? 5 kilogram. Okay, so we choose the class scale as what? 1 centimeter is equal to 5 kg. Now listen carefully. Here, since the first class interval is starting from 30.5 and not 0, we show it on the graph by marking a king or a break on the axis. If we start with a 0, we can start 0 onwards. Since it is start with 30.5, starting we can put a break. Okay, so listen carefully. The second point is we represent the number of students or the frequency on the vertical axis on the suitable scale. Since the maximum frequency is what? 15. We need to choose a scale to accommodate this maximum frequency. So we need to accommodate all these frequencies. Now the third point is we know now draw rectangles. So the rectangular bars of width equal to the class size and lengths according to the frequencies for the corresponding class intervals. For example, the rectangle of the class interval 30.5 to 35.5 will be the width 1 centimeter. So equal width we need to take 1 centimeter and the length 4.5 centimeter. So listen carefully, the length here the frequency 30.5 to 35.5 is what is the frequency? 9. Okay, so we can start with here not on with the starting 1 2 3 etc. Here we start with 2 4 6 etc. So that 9 we can represent using what? 4.5 length as 4.5 centimeter length. Okay, so instead of 4, half of that we can take like that. Now listen carefully, this one is the histogram. So for the continuous class intervals, we consider the histogram. So 30.5 to 35.5, 35.5 to 40.5, etc. So in between these two graphs, no space is there. Okay, these are continuous classes. Now the next question. A survey conducted by an organization for the cause of illness and death among the women between the ages 15 to 44 in years worldwide found the following figures in percentage. First one, reproductive health conditions, that is a female fatality rate percentage what? 31.8. Then psychiatric conditions 25.4, injuries 12.4, cardiovascular conditions 43, respiratory condition 4.1, other causes what 22. Okay, now listen carefully. For that, represent the following given above graphically. Now, which condition is the major cause of women's ill health and death worldwide? So, listen carefully the bar graph you need to represent. Okay, so when we construct this table, so we can represent in this way. So, the items we can represent in the horizontal way, and then next one what is given female fatality we can represent the vertical way. So all the items are represented in the bar graph. Then second question, what in which condition is the major cause of women's ill health? So which one is the maximum one? So maximum one is what 31.8, which is what reproductive health conditions. So major cause of a woman's ill health is what reproductive health conditions, that is 31.8%. Clear? So simple one is the bar graph. Now the next one. The length of 40 leaves of a plant are measured correct to 1 millimeter, and the obtained data is represented in the following table. First one, draw a histogram to represent the given data. So first one we need to draw the histogram. The hint is given first to make the class intervals into continuous. So listen carefully here, the class intervals are not continuous. So second question, is it correct to conclude that the maximum number of leaves are 153 millimeter long? Now listen carefully, this given question is not continuous class intervals. So we need to change that into continuous class intervals. So last class we have studied how to change that into continuous class. That is, subtract 0.5 from the lower limit, add 0.5 to the upper limit. So when we consider that, what is the first one class interval? 117.5 to 126.5. Then second one 126.5 to 135.5, etc. The last one become 172.5 171.5 to 180.5. Okay, now we need to draw the bar graph, histogram. So continuous class interval, if it is not started with 0, we put a break or kink. Okay, then the graph 117.5 to 126.5, 126.2 to 135.5, etc. up to 171.5 to 180.5 continuous class intervals are there. Now it is on the horizontal axis, and number of leaves on the, which is the frequency, on the y-axis or vertical axis. Now the second question, what is the second question? Is it correct to conclude that the maximum number of leaves are 153 millimeter long? Is the maximum number of leaves are what 153 millimeter long? No, we can't conclude in that way. It is a range. So the maximum number of leaves lies between 144.5 to 153.5. Okay, not necessary that it all occurs as 153 millimeter length. Okay, so listen carefully here. 144.5 millimeter to 153.5 millimeter is there. Okay, clear students? So first one graphic representation is bar graph, second one is what? Histogram. Both are very simple one. Okay, thank you.